and other. So yeah, and very briefly.
Thank you. Ruben, can you introduce yourself quickly, please?
You mean me, Ruben? Or
yeah.
Yeah. My name is Ruben. I'm the project steward of Zcoin. We are a privacy coin that was created around 2016, and basically our privacy protocol, what it does is that it takes coins, destroys them, and then anytime in the future you can redeem them for brand new ones with no previous transaction history. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we move to Rela.
Yeah, I guess it just leaves me. My name is Diego Salazar. People in the internet community know me as Rarar. I work with the Monero core team, which, oh man, there's so many qualifications because the Monero core team does not mean like the core team of other coins, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into that. I have plenty of talks where I talk about these kinds of things. But basically, I work for Monero, which is the big privacy coin on campus. We're the ones that get to throw our weight around, and everyone wants to be us and in our position. So I help Monero along in a community manner. I am a UI UX designer. I do a lot of stuff. So, and I know a thing or two about privacy and blockchain. So I hope to get into it and butt heads with some of these other privacy guys about our views on things.
Okay, thank you guys. So the agenda, this is how the agenda is going to be. First, Andrew will show us slides that he'll talk about privacy in DeFi, and then from there we have interesting questions that will be asked for you to throw light on. So we can start from Andrew.
First, Andre, press, like, your slides are not all the way on the screen. You're gonna have to go ahead and yep, there you go.
Better. Okay. Yeah, so thank you then for introduction. I will try to make it like very briefly, maybe like 5-7 minutes, and like basically I will just explain my vision, why I feel that privacy is important, and then we will kickstart the panel. So basically, like the first slide, because our audience is like not technical, and I assume that many of people, they actually not know like the big picture, what's going on with crypto space. So I make like very quick research, like to show that for the first 10 years of blockchain industry going on, there was like happened around 3 billion transactions through different protocols, including, of course, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Zcoin, and like many others. And the interesting thing here is that from these 3 millions, like 30% happened just like last year. And the guys from Block Native Research, they actually like doing prediction or like estimation that the number will keep growing, and within next 4 years, by 2024, it going to reach almost like 20 billion transactions, which is actually probably like one of the main reason why cryptocurrency attract a lot of like talents, a lot of like people, enthusiasts, and people who actually like distribute and push adoption further. So yeah, basically cryptocurrency is eating our planet, and it's going to show like exponential growth. So basically, when you use cash in daily life, like in any country in the world, like your cash transaction is confidential and untraceable. If you go to the market, if you buy something on the market, only 2 people in the world actually knows that this transaction happened. It's you, and it's the person who accept your cash. So this why like basically there is no way to like record this kind of transaction. And unlike physical cash, cryptocurrency is public. So in this case, I'm not talking about Zcoin or Monero, but I want to highlight that majority of of cryptocurrency, that any kind of transaction, like let's say if Alice do transaction to Bob, she generate the transaction in public ledger. Then this transaction is recorded, and it's actually like get there like forever. So and whatever like you make this transaction with your friends, or if any kind of way like somebody knows your wallet address, the whole financial like history is like disclosed. And like early this year, there is actually a lot of like researchers about like the privacy topic you can find online. But I just want to highlight one interesting, which I like found. What I found very close like to like the privacy problem and DeFi. So basically, researchers from Decrypt, they analyzed. So Ethereum, they have some kind of like domain name services, and to be honest, it sounds like invention, but for me, it's like very big like leak in terms of privacy, because people basically on their own needs just making their like finance public. So basically, it's like Ethereum type of domain name when user link his identity and user link his Ethereum address. And the guys from Decrypt, they actually analyzed like all these domain names, and they find out a lot of big holders. They find out where these holders use money, like who they communicate with, and actually they just like disclose this like on the public. So this is like one of the reasons why I feel that people should start like care about privacy in general. And like from incognito side, we also we understand that privacy is like very big challenge right now for most of like crypto. And on another hand, we also understand that majority of people, especially of new users who jump in, they know only about Bitcoin, maybe they know about Ethereum, and on default, they actually think that cryptocurrency is already untraceable and the crypto is already private. So I saw also research that I think maybe 95% of Bitcoin holders think that Bitcoin is like private, which is like, but then when people actually grow up, when they get more experience in crypto, they actually understand that it's not that, and they start looking for some kind of privacy tools. Like they start looking for privacy coins like Monero, Zcoin, and different type of things. And with Incognito team, we're working right now a lot on actually explaining people like how important privacy and why it's actually scary. And I would just want to show you like very quick animation here. Basically, we make a tool when you can drop your Ethereum or Bitcoin address, and we just like show user what happened with this address like within like latest transactions. And interesting here is that basically it's information already public on Ethereum scan, but when you go on Ethereum scan, you go there to check. So basically you understand that it's going to be public. But when you see your real transaction on third-party websites like Incognito or like something else, and when you put your own wallet address, actually it's become a bit scary. So when I put my own address, I got like very like strange feelings that my entire history is public. They know what kind of smart contract I use, and so on and so on. And yeah, so this is basically the main thing. So what's the solution? Solution is very simple. Like when people understand that the whole their like transaction history and financial history is remains public forever, they start thinking about privacy. They start looking for privacy coins or privacy tools. And from like user perspective, we believe like everyone, whatever they do with cryptocurrency, like storing, holding, trading, investing, transferring, everyone has like rights to keep this privacy. And then they should, when they make the decision, they should understand both sides of the like crypto, which part is public, which part is traceable, and which part is private, and then they make own decision. And interesting moment here, I like forgot to mention. So basically, we make this tool just like for promotional, just for like promotional, educating people about their like public coins are like traceable. But there's like several companies like China Analysis or right now Coinbase. They acquired analytical tool. They actually can trace like they can trace your coin or token from the moment you use their service and until the moment this coin was created on the beginning. And if there's any chance that this coin true to the blacklisted wallet address, they may reject to do service for you. They may like report you to some kind of authority, and then in the future it can like bring some kind of unpredictable things for you. Yeah, so as user, you should make decision like wherever you go, like privacy or not privacy. And yeah, as I promised, like very briefly, and to show actually user these two pills, you know, when they jump in crypto, they have a like you know in Matrix they have red pill and they have like blue pill. And let's kick off the discussion to explain user like maybe more about like these two direction. Yeah, so I put in my word to the host, and I know that there was like the list of questions.
Okay, that's nice. If you are on this call or meeting, if you have a question, just leave it on the chat, and after everything, we'll read it out to Andre. Okay. So now we have questions for our panels, Ruben, Andre, and Diego. And the questions are general, but I'll read the question out, then you all will attend to it. So the first question is, what is happening in the crypto space now? Do you guys think DeFi unlock a new 2017? I'll start from Andre.
So maybe let's start like from other guys. I mean, I was just talking last 5 minutes.
All right,
so
no problem.
I want to like kindly pass my word to guys.
Okay, then Ruben will start.
Sure. I mean, I think you're referring to like the 2017 ICO boom, right? I think that's quite I think that's quite an unfortunate reference point, because you know in the ICO boom, unfortunately, in my opinion, created like mostly useless projects and made a lot of people rich with not a lot of substance. Right now in DeFi, I mean, we are seeing a lot of interest in DeFi protocols. At the same time, there's a lot of what we call FOMO inside, right? Like we're seeing coins go like 50 times, 60 times just in the matter of like 1 week or 2 weeks. And I don't know if that's the kind of adoption that we need in DeFi, because I do believe there are really cool stuff that DeFi is doing, like make a DAO if they're DAI, or you know, decentralized DEXs, and because like you know now a lot of the interest in the space is all about yield farming, and personally I feel like a lot of it is about hype. You know, you're getting like governance tokens that shouldn't be worth a lot, but somehow people are speculating on it. So I do think it's actually quite unhealthy, but maybe it'll attract more people into the space, and hopefully there'll be some that see you know the true potentials of DeFi. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. I am generally going to be the dissenting voice on this panel.
Yeah.
I don't have a
That's
very
cool.
I don't have a very high opinion of DeFi or DeFi, however people say it these days, whatever you cool kids are saying. And the reason is, I don't want to say complicated. The reasoning is nuanced. We have a really hard time getting the baseline, the base DeFi application, which is money, just regular money. We have a really hard time getting that right, not just in terms of privacy, but like in other ways as well, right? Because you got the Bitcoin scaling debate, you have all sorts of things that are really difficult to get right on the very default DeFi application, which is money. And that we should be also going into the privacy problem, which I will hear pretty soon, because very few people get that right. You know, Zcoin is moving in that direction. Monero is currently the only one that is privacy by default and therefore fungible. Building applications, other applications. So, you know, the whole idea of decentralized finance is that we can do everything traditional finance does, but on decentralized protocols. That means like we can do loans with a decentralized protocol. We can do getting interest on a decentralized protocol. Everything the traditional financial system that uses banks or other similar things, we can do decentralized. And this is, I'm like, man, how can we expect to do these things when we can't even get the money part right? And the money part is the very base of all of these decentralized financing. In some ways, it is easier. In some ways, it might be easier per application. It's not really on a case-by-case basis. But in many ways, these are going to be harder because they're going to be built on top of unperfect money. I know people, you know, all the Bitcoin maximalists and stuff, they'll tell you like, oh, Bitcoin is sound money and these things are sound money. Well, sound money doesn't mean scalable money. Sound money doesn't mean money that is ready yet for the public. And I also disagree with them that it's sound money because it's not fungible. So do I see DeFi gaining adoption? Probably, but it's mostly because people aren't very smart and they don't know what they're investing into. Because if they knew the problems that DeFi has ahead of it, then I think they would be a little less optimistic. In fact, I think they would be quite pessimistic because, yeah, as I said, the foundation of everything, we're still working on that. And most people still can't get it right. Most stuff is still not fungible. You see how just yesterday with the whole Twitter blow up thing where somebody hacked all the Twitter accounts and made a couple $1 million of Bitcoin. You see where all that Bitcoin is going. There's still the question of can it be stopped because it's traceable, so maybe we can stop it before it goes anywhere. This is good for the people that lost their money if it can be stopped, but it ultimately shows that, like Andre showed in the presentation, this doesn't just apply to criminals or people using cryptocurrencies for bad things. This also applies to you. Everyone can see what you're spending your money on. And honestly, like with decentralized finance, like let's take one example and then I'll stop talking. I'm sorry. I know I can go on and on. Let's take one example specifically. Like, let's say somebody makes a protocol in which some people can trustlessly loan other people money. Right. This is one very big part of the traditional financial institution is people taking loans. So let's say that in decentralized finance, we have the ability, Diego says, okay, I need $200,000 of a loan to buy a house. Well, you're going to have people that are literally just watching this blockchain, either doing it personally or via something that they make, and watching which loans go out to where. They're going to cross-reference these things with a few other metadata that they may be collecting, potentially identify the person that got this money, and now they have a target because Diego now has 200,000 fresh new whatever coin or token sitting there as he's, you know, negotiating buying the house or whatever the case may be. And so either physically they might send somebody to take my money, which $200,000 is not a lot to send somebody physically, but you know, when you're thinking about loans that are potentially in the millions, maybe it might be worth it. Or digitally, they might just find my IP address and do some light poking to see if there's anything. So rather than doing the scattershot approach where they have to kind of not know who has cryptocurrency, with decentralized finance loan protocols, if they're not private, now all of a sudden they get new targets every time a loan is given, that they can just focus their efforts on these people to see what kind of weaknesses they have. Like, one of the benefits of the traditional financial system is that when I interface with the bank, only the bank knows that I took a loan from them unless I default and then we go to court and blah, 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 blah. But other than that, it's just me and the bank. So unless the bank sends somebody to take my money, which I don't know, maybe they do in some countries and that's called the mafia, then it's relatively private. But with a public thing, everybody knows that I have taken a loan, so everyone can start poking around to see if they can take the money. And if they succeed, I not only not have that money, but I still owe the people who took the money. Like, in physical terms, in real life terms, this is the equivalent of going to the bank and taking out $200,000, $300,000. And as I'm leaving the bank, I announce to everybody, I'm like, hey, everybody, I just got $300,000. Right, I have it in my hands right now. The bank loaned it to me. Thank you. I'm so happy. And some people are going to be following me home on the streets that day.
Yeah, that's actually like very cool example. And when you go with like very big pocket of your cash there. But I think Diego, you cover like couple like further questions as well within the first one.
Oh, cool. We could go ahead and end here if that's okay with everybody. That's my definitive opinion.
Yeah. So, Andrew, are you coming in?
I think like I can just add like very quick thing. Like, so if people expect to see this kind of like repeat in 2017, so there is no one who can guarantee you that it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. But we definitely see like this kind of like intention and interest of people to like join in this DeFi movement. And as Diego and Ruben say, that there's like actually two things. Like the first one, people is got attracted because of like very high returns, but at the same time, like people don't take care of risks and of the problems which they like face when they do this. So basically, it's like in this case, it's similar, I think, like 2017, because there's a lot of risk that people will just like lost money. So like people who will be jumping in this, even if it's like yielding, like farming yielding stuff, the people who was there like before it started, they probably will make money. But if you will jump in top, you may feel like you jump in when it was like December 2017. So, and you should accept this risk when you do this kind of movement.
Perfect. I think we are done with the first question. So from your experiences, what are the benefits and challenges that DeFi bring to users?
So I think like challenges, so let's maybe we split like in two types. So we're gonna like defend DeFi with Ruben, and Diego is gonna fight this. Like, is that sounds cool? Oh, Ruben, we cannot hear you.
We can't hear you, man.
I guess I'm kind of like in between. I mean, I'm not totally for DeFi. I see like, oh yeah, there's some cool applications there, and I think it's worth exploring. But I think Diego is like, oh no, we shouldn't do this at all, and Andre is like, yes, DeFi is the best. So I think what it is. So I guess what was the question again? Sorry, Sahabia.
The question is, do you think DeFi has benefits? And if you think yes, DeFi has benefits, what are the benefits? And also, what are the challenges that you think DeFi has for users of cryptocurrency?
Well, I mean, personally, to me, of course, there's so many things about DeFi, but the thing that really attracts me, especially, is a privacy project. are the rise of usable decentralized exchanges. They're not perfect, and yeah, but the idea of having like a decentralized exchange that you don't have to pay a lot of money to get listed on or beg them to get listed on, and you don't have to worry about jurisdiction and things like that, is, I think, pretty powerful. I mean, unfortunately, it's very Ethereum based right now. But if you take a look at like the current kind of solutions that we have, like Monero has been promoting this thing called BISC, and I used it and I hate it. Right, it's really horrible. Like if I want to get my Monero, unfortunately, I'm still going to go to like a Binance or something like that. But when I was like, interacting with decentralized exchanges, it was no more KYC. You know, I could just interact directly. I think that's a very important promise now, especially if we are seeing a very dangerous trend into countries starting to try to ban encryption, try to ban privacy. So I think I'm really positive about like developments of DeFi into that regard, especially if they work the interoperability bit a lot better. But besides that, I'm not so sure about the flash loans, the yield farming. I mean, yeah, automated market makers are cool, stable coins are cool, but to me personally, it's DEXs that really resonate with me right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I definitely do see, in theory, many of the benefits of decentralized finance ideas and protocols. The problem that I have, so it's not like I'm against everything, right? The problem that I have is that a lot of these things, the game theory breaks down if you don't have your own coin with good incentives. If you require oracles, you're going to run into the exact same problem that Ethereum has, where we don't really have a good oracle solution. And no, Chainlink is not a good oracle solution for reasons I don't have time to get into. But basically, whenever, so like Ruben says, dexes are a really cool thing that I hope get worked on and come to pass, but really those are just on-chain assets. But anytime decentralized finance is going to interface with the real world, like cutting out the middleman between you and buying a house, right, or you and getting a loan as denominated in dollars, anytime the blockchain, this is true across the board, not just a decentralized finance protocols, interfaces with the real world, you're going to run into the oracle problem, which is really, really not anywhere close to being solved. So what this means is that decentralized finance is really, really limited to on-chain assets. But when people envision what decentralized finance can do, all of these big use cases that really are world changing, if we can make them happen, usually interface with the real world in some way. What this means is that decentralized finance is going to be really limited in scope for a long, long time. Because the Oracle problem, as of now, has not been solved. It's been a known problem for a long time, and we're nowhere close to solving it. So, I mean, like, with dexes, it is just on-chain asset to on-chain asset. There is some sort of oracle that's necessary to trade between the two, which usually, in BISC's case, is kind of like a semi-centralized thing that's going down. But we're just going to see really limited use cases here until the oracle problem is solved. Again, same problem that Ethereum has with their smart contracts. So yes, in theory, like if we can solve the oracle problem, if we can make this stuff come to pass, decentralized finance will be very powerful. You cut out a lot of middlemen that don't need to be there. Well, that need to be there currently for trust purposes, but ultimately don't need to be there if we can get rid of that trust. But I just don't see how we can do that effectively anytime soon. So, I mean, it's to me, it's similar to when somebody says, "Look, if we make time travel, things will be so awesome. We'll be able to do this, this, and this, and this." And then we say, "Okay, yeah, but we still need to invent the time travel technology." Like, yeah, but that's coming. Don't worry, that's coming. We're working on that. We'll get there, right? That's how I feel about kind of the decentralized finance oracle problem. People are like, "Ooh, smart contracts and decentralized finance. We'll be able to change this and change the world and make all this happen." I'm like, yeah, but what about the oracle problem? It's a big deal. You can't really do a whole. Yeah, but we're solving that. Don't worry, we're getting on that. It's coming, and it's really not. So, I like to think I'm a realist. I think everybody else thinks I'm a pessimist, but That's kind of my view on DeFi. I do see it has really, really, really cool applications, even in its limited scope, like Ruben says with DEXs. And in theory, outside of its limited scope, if we can solve the Oracle problem. But for now, I mean, it is what it is, and it's not great.
Wow. Okay. So from explanations, I'll just ask the next question, and the next question will come direct to you again. You are from Monero. So what opinions do you have for DeFi from Monero?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, but like, what opinions does the Monero team have for DeFi?
Sure. So I can't speak. So Monero doesn't really have a team. We don't. As I was alluding to in my introduction, Monero, like when we talk about core team or our development team, like we're very much like Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not have a team. They just have some people that work on it, and some people are more prominent and trusted than others. But Bitcoin doesn't have a team unless you're like, oh, Blockstream has co-opted Monero, which I'm not going to get into that or something or other. But as of right now, like Monero doesn't really have a team. So I can't speak on behalf of like the Monero team. I can speak on behalf of myself and some of the people that I've talked to. A lot of us in Monero, Monero has a reputation for being very blunt, which is exemplified by me. And they try to be very realistic. So a lot of people tend to have a similar opinion to me. Which is neutral to negative, and if there is optimism, it is very much qualified with several asterisks. We of course want to see a decentralized world come to pass. We really do. That's why we work on Monero. I mean, heck, I don't have a high opinion of cryptocurrency. I don't have a high opinion of Monero sometimes, but I still work on it because I want this world to happen. We want to see this happen. It has so many benefits for the disenfranchised, for the marginalized, for the people that are pushed to the fringes of society, right? Like that's why I'm personally in it, because like it really has the potential to help people that are not helped by the traditional system in a huge way. And that's the compassion behind that is awesome, and it's groundbreaking, and I'm all over that, right? But we can't put the cart in front of the horse. It's like building a bridge for people to connect two places and to help the poor and to help people that don't have access to this other place across the bridge. But we don't have any engineers on the project, or we don't have the tools to do it. And we're like, oh yeah, this bridge is going to be great. Like, we want to see this bridge happen. We really do. But we need to make sure we have the good technology, the good ideas, the good whatever, and the problem solved. And we just don't. So I think the Monero community would love to see things like this happen. I think the Monero community is similar to me, but maybe I'm just speaking because I think everybody thinks like me, which they don't. There's a lot of caution. There's a lot of work that has to be done. We're nowhere close, and we should stop marketing like we are somewhere close, because we're not.
Okay, so that's okay. I'll move to Ruben. Ruben, you are from Zcoin. Diego said they don't have a core team. I don't know about Zcoin. If you have a core team, what
we do.
are your opinions? Okay, so what are your opinions about DeFi, decentralized finance?
I mean, are you talking as in relation to Zcoin or is in general? Because I think I did answer this question before, right? Like, what are my thoughts on DeFi in general? Or you're talking about?
As you wish, like as you feel more comfortable.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, one of the things I guess, Monero is like, let's just focus on privacy, and I have total respect for that. I do think that's, laudable. One of the things that I think we at Zcoin, we kind of take a bit more experimental, like we're a bit more willing to explore, especially as a lower cap coin. And one of the things that we're looking at is especially integration into the DeFi system. Like, how would we have Zcoin represented on things like Uniswap or stuff like that? And that's really tough because, traditionally that has always required centralized custodians, like, a wrapped Zcoin on Ethereum, which isn't ideal. Or in another case, there's like stuff like REN, like a REN protocol, which uses some sort of MPC protocol. So currently what we're looking at is for ways to bridge, to have like a kind of a proxy token for Zcoin that can exist in the DeFi space, so that it can kind of participate in this experiment. And in a way, the way I see it is that, especially on the DEX front, especially when I see all these regulated exchanges be so worried about listing privacy coins, I want to be able to say, like, I want to be able to participate in these DEXs, so that if like whatever happens to our Binance listing, whatever happens to this and that listing, we at least have a place to be able to trade Zcoin, and DeFi does potentially offer one of those routes. So I don't think we're as closed off to it. There are definitely trade-offs, but I think we're quite open to it. The other thing that we actually also have is something called like a tokenization layer, which allows people to build their own coins on Zcoin and enjoy the privacy features of Zcoin. And this is something that we're, I think, quite interested on. We don't see it as a major feature, but the idea of, let's say, something like DAI, similar to what Incognito is doing, you want to have DAI that has privacy, right? Because you have the existing liquidity, or you want to use like centralized USDT in a more private manner. I do think there's a use case there. Like, people do treat these coins almost like the US dollars, and there should be private ways to do it. So we're looking into the ways to bridge that into our system and use our privacy technology. So I guess I'm a bit more positive about it, but I'm not like, totally into the whole like flash loan stuff. But I do see ways that Zcoin can interact with the DeFi space and maybe, gain something from it. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for that.
Can
Now
I?
the
Can
next
I add,
question.
I'm sorry. Can I add one last thing?
Oh, sure.
Do we have
you
time?
can.
Sure. Sorry. So it kind of just occurred to me that the Monero community cannot be completely against DeFi, because Monero itself is a DeFi application, right? Money is a decentralized is decentralized finance, right? And blockchain, Bitcoin, Monero, Zcoin, these are all examples of decentralized finance. So like on a high level, Monero people can't be like, oh yeah, we're against DeFi, because they'd be against cryptocurrency in general. Yeah, so I do want to just slightly clarify that I'm not, my criticism for DeFi as a whole comes from a heart of wanting to see it actually happen, right? It doesn't come from a place of, I think this is a terrible idea. It comes from the place of, I want to see this happen, and I want to make sure everybody is intellectually honest about how we're going to get there. Because if we have great ideas, but we don't have a good path to get there, we're just like, oh, we'll get there someday, then it's actually not going to happen. Good ideas need good planning. Good ideas need good tools. Good ideas need good people, right? All of these things are required to make the good ideas a reality. So my criticisms of decentralized finance are not because, oh, I hate this thing, I never want to see it come to pass, it's all just hype, blah, 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 blah. I do want to cut through the hype, and I do want to look at what is actually necessary to get there, because otherwise it's just going to be dreams.
Okay, that's fine.
Diego,
So my next.
Sorry, like one thing, but I think, Diego, the really cool thing of DeFi, I understood what you mean, that where a lot of people, they promise something like to be happen in the future, and this is like similarity to the 2017, because people promise a lot and nothing actually happened. But I think you cannot disagree. Like, for myself, the most exciting thing is actually like DAI. It's like when you can create like stable coin, like backed by like real assets. I mean, the idea in general, and it's already works. So basically, anyone can go and use this algorithm, use this protocol to create like money, basically. And you still, let's say I don't know, if there will be a possibility to create a privacy focused stablecoin and to use like Monero or Zcoin as collateral, and it's become like real, like digital cash. It's become stablecoin, and it's become untraceable stablecoin. So, and from the old DeFi applications, I agree with Ruben that DEXs, but I also feel that creation of stablecoin backed by anyone it's something revolutionary, like for me. There is no way that in physical world, like in any country, you can just go and create coins. Like either you work, either you make a business to collect these coins, but it's get created by somebody else.
Okay. So my next question will come to Andre. I think you've not spoken for a while. So is privacy really that important? That's your question. And if so, how can privacy help DeFi adoption?
Yeah, so I would take like half of the answer like from Diego's like first thing, because the thing he mentioned about like when you get loan, when you get like when you put collaterals, and then everyone who knows your address, they actually can follow you. And so, and basically it's quite easy. So you go to Compound smart contract, and then you track like the biggest like borrowers, and then you just like try to find out their identity. So it's basically quite easy, and the only question is how big their like loan is, and how you are into that, try to like steal this money or hug this kind of person. But this kind of like traceability already there. And I also mentioned that like when I was showing demo, when we did some like marketing promotional, when you can trace your like wallet and see on the website. But basically there is a companies like China Analysis, they sell your like DeFi, your like crypto data to governments. They say, I believe they sell it to like anyone. So basically, and you can go on their website and purchase this kind of analytical software, and you can trace, you can know actually user behavior, you know what kind of like contract he or she use, and these things actually like makes scare. And there's like I think there was like last week a moment when Circle, they freeze some wallet with 100,000 USDC. So I didn't go dive deep in this question, but I don't know the reason why they did it, but I know the fact that it happened, and it means if you like, if I don't know, if they will be requested by any other authority, they will be free to do it with any other wallets. And this is the only like question of time. And from my perspective, it means that everyone who use crypto right now, they should be like they should accept US regulation in this. Because like basically like US can control like stablecoins providers. I mean like the centralized and even if you're not US citizen and if you're not based in US, you have a risk to be like frozen if you use that kind of technology. And in this case, why I believe like the privacy the most important, like because firstly, this kind of people, this kind of analytical tools, they cannot find out your transaction history. And let's say if I'm like Ukrainian citizen and I'm not making anything illegal in my country, why should I be traced by like US like corporation or something like this? I don't see like any reason why I should give them this kind of data. And the last thing, I was like really like wonder when Circle, they freeze this address because I did my like personal prediction that Facebook will be the first company which start freezing users account because like on like Facebook's like privacy stuff. Yeah, but Circle did it first. And this is for myself, it's like the biggest example and the brightest example why you should keep your funds private.
Okay. All right. So is anyone having addition to that? Ruben, you want to add something to that question?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course, like, you know, Andre has already covered, like, you know, the security, of course, like business reasons. You don't want your competitor to know what you're doing, or basically those are like, the basic stuff about privacy. But one thing, especially in the DeFi space, especially when you're doing smart contracts, when you're interacting with smart contracts, everything is, your action is actually public. Like, oh, I'm going to interact in this smart contract. I'm going to place an order for this. I'm going to do this particular action on this smart contract. That's public for everyone to see. Now, if there have been attacks where, like, okay, I can like I can front run you, I can put in a instruction that, because I have a higher fee that will execute before you, and this is basically front running, right? And I do think that privacy is needed for this type of interactions, because even before they go into the block, it's everyone can take a look at this sort of stuff. And I mean, like recently, like the BZX exchange thing where, a whole bunch of bots friend run and just drove the price up for everybody. I think these are like real issues that smart contracts and DeFi has to solve if it's going to, be anything meaningful, because who would want to participate in such a ecosystem where all your actions are known to everyone before they can even be executed. So I think that's something that's all I wanted to add to that. Yeah.
Okay. Diago.
I mean, I already kind of answered this question when I answered the first question, because I can't shut my mouth and I get ahead of myself. But yeah, just kind of the idea that with a lot of these dealings with money, you're announcing to the world how you're using your money, when you have money, when you don't have money, and these things are going to prevent people from having opportunities. So, like, if you if you don't, here's a kind of a silly example, and I'll keep it brief. If you don't have a lot of money, let's say you're quite poor, and you go into the decentralized finance space because you're hoping to get access to things that traditional banks might deny you, right? You don't have a lot of money. Well, from this, people can see that you don't have a lot of money. So perhaps they're going to put it in their protocol that if you don't have a lot of money and they see that, if they do loan you some money, they're going to do so at a higher interest rate just because they don't, they don't trust that you're going to be able to pay them back. Or, if we're looking at insurance as a decentralized finance thing, where money is automatically given to you when you have health issues or something. Well, they may charge you. Are you going to be able to pay your deductibles? They're going to be looking into your wallet to see if you have enough money to pay your deductibles every month, or if should you get sick and your premiums every month, and they may deny you based on these kinds of things. And so really, like, when we're looking at helping the marginalized and the people who can benefit from decentralized finance the most, privacy is going to work against them. I mean, not having privacy is going to work against them, and it's going to put them in just as bad a position, maybe sometimes even in a worse position, because the traditional system is at least private. And the sad reality is, and I think all of us know this, there is some level of needing to game the system in order to get, especially for the poor, it is necessary to game the system in some way, so that way you can live a life that is not defined by your poverty. And I don't have any time to go into the socioeconomic implications of this. So yeah, that's where I'll leave that.
Okay, that's fine. We are done with the questions, and we have some questions asked in the chat that I'll be reading to you to attend to. Our time is almost so. The question, I'll read that to Andre. You answer the first question. So it says, sure. Following the Twitter, so I'm reading the question. It says, following the Twitter hack event from last night, it further shows the demerit of having sensitive information stored on centralized servers. Here's my question. Aside privacy on the DeFi front, how soon do you think users can have control over their privacy on social media platforms, like a decentralized alternative to Twitter, etc.?
I think there was like several I remember in 2017 there was a lot of people who raised money for idea to make decentralized social media, but so far there's I don't remember. I think like Diego, you should know the platform where there is like the biggest one. I know that there is decentralized marketplace like Open Bazaar, and there's like some decentralized social network, but
Sure.
I just totally forgot the
Is it
name.
Steemit? Not Steemit, right?
So Steemit is a decentralized social media platform that is blockchain based. There are plenty that are not blockchain based. Things like Mastodon is the biggest one that is analogous to Twitter. Diaspora. There's plenty of social media things that are decentralized and federated. In fact, if you go to like Fediverse.party, I think is the URL, Fediverse.party, then that is a place where you can kind of see all of these decentralized federated things. Like there's a decentralized federated medium for blog posts. It's like write.as or something like that. These things exist and they exist outside of blockchain. So not all of them have great user experience, as often happens when you start decentralizing. But they are fairly powerful. I think it should be noted that kind of social media is kind of made to be non-private on purpose because you're sharing information about your life with other people. So asking for complete privacy in a context where you're willingly giving away information about yourself is kind of counterintuitive. It doesn't mean it's impossible, because we can say, I don't want to give information to people I don't release it to, but I do want to give information to people I do release it to. But it's a problem that is not so easily solved just because the ideas are counterintuitive to each other. But yes, these things do exist. Like Mastodon is the biggest one. You can Google that and check it out.
So
Yeah.
the thing here is, I feel like even if that hack happens, so people will not give up with it with Twitter. When Facebook leaked data about users, like people didn't give up with Facebook because like, they just do it for like social interaction. And I think I read like somewhere like in Wikipedia there it calls like privacy syndrome or something like this. People who cares privacy, they understand like all importance, but they give up because they like want a social interaction. So they basically understand that it's not private and they accept this. And I think majority of people, they just have this kind of syndrome and they just accept even they understand the problems.
All that I wanted to quickly
Rory?
add is that privacy and decentralization aren't the same. Just because you are not, you can have centralized services that are still private. You know, like it can be end-to-end encrypted, where although it's a centralized platform, they don't actually have access to your data. So decentralized isn't the answer to everything, and especially with social media platforms. I mean, maybe you can talk about censorability, but end-to-end encryption also works for a lot of these cases. So that's all I wanted to say to that. Yeah.
All right. So let me read the last question so we can finish this meeting. It says Zimbabwe just announced they will be adopting crypto to tackle inflation and monetary issues in the country. This is a big move towards adoption, and we know MakerDAO is presenting a platform for vendors and businesses to use DAI as digital stable cash and a means of exchange. In what ways do you think Monero or Zcoin can help drive adoption, especially in the unbanked African community? Diego, you attend to this question.
Sure. As I alluded to the fact before, typically the people that are going to suffer the most from the lack of privacy are going to be people that are marginalized in some way or another. And the reality is that the unbanked population, wherever they are, typically are unbanked for some reason, whether it is because they're marginalized, on the fringes, impoverished, or any of these kinds of things. And this is going to be true of any country. So lack of privacy is going to hit these people harder than it's going to hit the middle class or the upper class. So what I would like to see is Monero to get adopted as opposed to something like Bitcoin. And people might say, well, it's just because you work for Monero, but the truth is that having access to good money that is also private, that you don't need people's permission to use, is very powerful and has the potential to really bring these people out of their position of marginalization, or at least help them navigate that a little bit easier and with less stress than they currently do. So I think, at least for Monero, I think it would be one of the most powerful tools that gives freedom in a way that, you know, they might not experience currently. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Ruben, can you come in?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, realistically, especially with Ethereum fees the way they are, someone that's unbanked who probably may not have a lot of money, DAI isn't the right tool. Why would you spend $1 to do a transaction on DAI? It's, you know, that's a lot of money, you know. And even for me, it hurts. Like I can buy a complete meal with $1 worth of stuff. I mean, realistically, and you know, we're talking about inflation and monetary issues in the country, and we should be adopting crypto. This is actually, I'm going to say something like really blunt. This is actually something which third world countries like to do. There are much bigger systemic problems, be it corruption, be it like a horrible government system that make this inflation and monetary issues. Crypto is not going to solve that, you know, and announcing a technology to solve that is just distracting from the systemic problems that are existing today in whatever country. And I think it's a real disservice. You find that, like, you know, like places like Venezuela, right? You know, they have a completely crap currency, and then they say, let's solve it with petrol, their scam cryptocurrency, right? And I really think that, you know, this is really distracting the point. Even in Malaysia, you know, like we talk about blockchain and stuff, and no one really knows what it is. They just want to sound cool. They want to sound as if they are doing forward. So I really don't think crypto is going to tackle inflation or monetary issues in the country. That's going to take a lot more. Whether DAI is the, yeah, one of the things that DAI, I mean, yeah, sure, to promote DAI in these countries, I'm totally okay for it. But in its current state, it's not usable because of the Ethereum high fees. Maybe that would change with Ethereum 2 wherever that comes. But I feel that those that are unbanked have a lot more bigger issues, like having access to the devices to do this type of things, having, you know, learning. And I think, you know, to them, you know, maybe something physical is actually more useful to them. You know, I think that's how I feel about it. I think if anyone that DAI will be using, it'll be the educated people who would not necessarily be unbanked, people who already have access to this sort of stuff, and maybe, or even the rich people who want to maybe escape taxes or move their money offshore. That has been the use case for cryptocurrency, not for the unbanked. I have really seen very minimal use cases for the unbanked. It's nice in theory, but in practicality, people are looking at how am I going to put food on the table, you know, rather than how am I going to play with this cryptocurrency. And that's just kind of how I feel about that. Of course, I'm totally for, like, you know, Monero or Zcoin being adopted, but realistically, I think other things have to happen first before that should be prioritized, you know, even though it would benefit me if every single African has Zcoin. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Andre, do you want to add something to that before we close?
To ask? No, I think I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined this. Like, so basically, for me personally, it was like really interesting to talk with Ruben and Diego together. And yeah, so, and we also like, I feel it's still just beginning. I'm not that old in crypto like Zcoin or Monero, but I feel the vibes, and maybe the most inspiring thing in the blockchain space is that it can be something. Maybe we build something which the future generation will like respect us, and then we will be like somewhere like on the history. So this is like my motivation in this. Yeah, and thank you for hosting this, and thank you like Maria, and thank you Sabia and other guys. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So we appreciate you all. Aria.
Yeah, the conversation was really, really interesting because, I mean, as Andre said at the beginning, having different point of views is amazing, in my opinion, even if someone criticized Maker and DeFi. But I mean, when you bring, oh, yeah, I love you anyways, Diego. When you have I mean, reasons and you can explain your point of view, I always accept everyone's opinion. So I think the conversation was amazing. I'm really happy about this meetup and in general about our work with DeFi Africa. So thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you everyone for joining. And we hope to see you in the next episode. That will be next month.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.